Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I really want to touch on the power of vulnerability in relationships. Whether it's a new relationship, it's one that's going on for a few years, or one that's been going on for decades. Vulnerability is the key to deepening love continuously. If you look at the main goal of a relationship, it's to fall deeper in love, right? So let's see. This is the main aim, right here. So our goal in any relationship is to get deeper and deeper in love with that other person. Be more vulnerable in order to do that. So if we have vulnerability, we'll put V here. In order for us to get to a deeper sense of love, we need to create building blocks, steps to get to that point. And vulnerability is the foundation, is the step up to the next one, to the next one. It's the starting block, it's the catalyst to ensure that your relationships become deeper and deeper, and you both fall more in love with one another, and your relationship becomes stronger. And it all starts with vulnerability, because vulnerability creates emotional safety, and then safety builds deeper connection, and that deeper connection leads to a deeper form of love every time. In this video, we're going to be exploring why we struggle so much to be vulnerable in relationships, and the three key pillars of vulnerability, and how you can bring vulnerability into your relationship to ensure that your love deepens with your partner. So, why is it we find it so difficult to be vulnerable? Well, let's just picture this as us here. And from when we were first born up until the day we die, really, we experience life. And what life does can bring difficult situations to us that ultimately affect our heart and who we are deep down. For instance, this one, you get rejected. You get rejected by someone. What does that do? It hurts your heart, right? Leaves a little wound on the heart. Now, your mind then thinks, well, how can I protect myself? I know, I'll create some kind of ego, some kind of defense mechanism, some kind of facade to protect my heart so that doesn't happen again. Then something else happens. Somebody says, you are not good enough. Spell good, right, Alex? Good enough. As an example. And again, what does that do? Leaves a little mark on the heart. So what does the mind do? The defense mechanism? I know. I'll create a facade, more of a facade, that will protect my heart going forward. And so on and so on. We go through life where these scenarios and situations affect our heart in some way. And as a result, we create more and more of a defense mechanism. And what does this defense mechanism do? It protects our heart. But what it also does is it prevents us from being vulnerable, of being our vulnerable true selves, in case we get rejected again, told you're not good enough again, something negative happens to us again. And we build this wall, and we build it, and build it, and we build it, and we build it, again, with good intentions to protect ourselves, and to the point where we have an intimate relationship, we find it hard to speak from that truth. We find it hard to be vulnerable with our intimate partner because we fear rejection. Even though deep down we may think that this individual isn't going to hurt me in the same way the other people did, this barrier is still up to protect you. What does this look like? So you've got a partner that's here and they're trying to get through to you, right? But your lack of vulnerability ensures that this reach out for connection just bounces and rebounds straight back. And again, boom, straight back. Again, boom, straight back. To the point where you feel friction in a relationship. You feel a lack of connectivity. Why? Because you have a wall here. You have a veil here. And it's all been created by these past experiences where you've built that wall up. Now, this individual, your intimate partner, can't get through to you. Again, tries to get through, bang, bounces off, bang, bounces off. To a point where you feel misunderstood. your partner feels like they can't get through, and ultimately chips away at the relationship, chip after chip after chip, to the point where you become apart, you fall apart, and the depths of your love has a glass ceiling. And listen, your partner would have had exactly the same traumas, experiences that would have created them to have some kind of defense mechanism, the same as yours. So how do we open up to vulnerability, and how does opening up and becoming vulnerable affect the relationship? Well, if you do the work to become more vulnerable, you take away the armor, put down the armor, the shield, and become raw from the heart, even with your wounds, still saying, this is me, this is who I am, these are my wounds, being as raw as possible. As a result, that individual, amazing drawings here, I know, sees your vulnerability, feels your vulnerability from your heart. And what does that do? It allows them to feel safe, to be more vulnerable, and it allows them, even with their scars on their heart, to be more vulnerable with you. And what does this do? It brings you closer together in a relationship. And what does that do? It makes your love become deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is what happened with me in my relationship. When I first met my wife, I remember sitting with her and she was being vulnerable with me. And it allowed me to feel comfortable in that moment, to put my guard down, show her my heart as she showed hers, so courageously, so vulnerably. And I shared with her that one of my biggest fears was to be alone. And she turned around to me and she said, I'm your family now, you'll never be alone. So again, my wife now, at that time, being vulnerable, made it feel okay for me to drop my walls and be vulnerable and share. And what did this do? It brought us closer together. So question, how can you be more vulnerable in your relationship? Because if you are more vulnerable, your partner will then feel safe to be vulnerable. So here are the 3 pillars of vulnerability that you can consciously practice to ensure that your relationship goes deeper and deeper and deeper in the journey of love. So number 1, practice communication. So what does this look like? Well, when in an argument, 2 people here arguing, our senses take on around 1 billion bits of information per second, right? 1 billion bits of information per second. So this individual is taking on a different meaning to a situation, to a scenario, to an experience, whereas this other person is taking a completely, there's a different colour, whereas this person's having a completely different experience to what is happening. So these 2 people may visually see the same experience, but their perception of that experience may be completely different. And this is where the power of clear communication comes in. A really good way to bring up an issue with a partner is to say this sentence: the story I am telling myself is why. For instance, the story I'm telling myself is why. The story I'm telling myself is, you didn't bring the bins in because you expected me to do it. When in reality, that story is completely different to that other person's story. No, the reason I didn't bring the bins in is because I forgot. It's got nothing to do with that. I'm sorry you felt that way. Let me go do that now. Right? So it's interesting how different, even though you're looking at the same thing, you can have a different perception of that thing, a different experience of that scenario, right? So really important sentence to use when having a discussion, when having a disagreement, is by starting, the story I'm telling myself is this. Also, non-violent communication. Non-violent communication is key in a relationship. Come into it calm, placid. If you feel that you're worked up and angry, take yourself away until you feel in a more calm place, because from that calmer place you can access. When you come from this sentence, the story I am telling myself is this, you come from vulnerability. rather than coming from rage, aggression, anger, emotionally charged expression. This pause and practicing clear communication allows you to come from a place of vulnerability, which in turn helps your relationship moving forward and stops these petty arguments becoming huge ones. And just to finish on this, instead of using vague comments like, "Don't worry, it's the vaguest," "I'm not bothered," when in reality we all know you are bothered, you can come again with that sentence. To be honest, the story I'm telling myself is this. When in reality, most of the time, that'll be your story, your version of events, your perception of events. When in reality, your partner may be like, "Actually, no, that's actually completely wrong. I actually meant this, not that." So clear communication is a key pillar of vulnerability. So the second pillar of vulnerability is honesty. Be honest with how you feel. If you are feeling a bit low, if you are feeling a bit anxious, if you are feeling off for whatever reason, share that. Be vulnerable. Again, vulnerability, come from the heart. You know, I'm feeling a bit off today. I'm feeling a bit anxious today. I was nervous to bring this up, but here's how I'm feeling. On the flip side of that, if you're feeling great, if you're feeling amazing, if you feel love for that person, share it. "I really, really love you. I'm really grateful for you." Honesty works both ways, right? When you're feeling not so great, share it and get support. Again, that's one of the purposes of being in a relationship. But also the positives, the love. If you enjoy being around that person, if you're grateful for that person. Small truths build safety, and safety builds depth in love. So when you share honestly in these small moments, you start to retrain your nervous system that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to come from the heart. It's okay to share how you are feeling. You're retraining yourself and in turn becoming more vulnerable in that relationship. And as you become more vulnerable in that relationship, your partner will become more vulnerable in that relationship. And the veil, the illusion of separation, the illusion of the fact that we need to protect ourselves at all costs, even with our nearest and dearest, vanishes, it evaporates. And the third pillar of vulnerability is trust. You're trusting yourself, you're trusting life, and you're trusting your partner. If your heart was hurt before, you have to trust and allow your barriers to drop again, to expose your heart, to expose the true version of you. And you need to trust life in that. You also need to trust your partner in that exposing your heart and being you, that your partner will see you, accept you, love you beyond the shame. But also you have to trust yourself. Trust yourself to be able to share who you are, to release the armor, to drop the armor. And what happens when we drop the armor? The illusion fades. The illusion of the fact that we need to protect ourselves fades, and we can truly connect because we trust ourselves, we trust our partner, and we trust the middleman. The middleman is life. Because when you trust yourself to allow your armor to drop and you allow someone to see you, as a result, they allow you to see them. And trust is such an important part of that. Yes, you've been hurt before, but you have to trust life, you have to trust yourself, and you have to trust your partner. If you don't trust any of those things, vulnerability is going to be difficult to access. And this is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. Micro steps to get to this position where you can be vulnerable and share from the heart with your intimate partner. And when you do that, your love is only going to deepen and deepen. Love is like space. There's always a deeper part to go to, always. And vulnerability is your spaceship. It's your rocket that can take you to the next level, the next depth of love in your relationship. So when you build your relationship from communication, from honesty, from trust, that leads to vulnerability. And what does vulnerability lead to? Well, it leads to speaking from your heart, from your truth. And your heart is the gateway to deeper, more meaningful love, which is what we all want as human beings, right? Deeper connections, more love, to feel loved, to feel accepted. Vulnerability is the bridge that can lead you and your partner to a deeper, more meaningful relationship. Because remember, your life and your partner starts with you.